guys, I'm Juliana from Hope the Wild Burro Place. I'm here today to talk about pack saddles and about fit. I am not the expert, I'll just put that out there. Yes, I worked for an outfitter for 10 plus years back in Montana where I spent half my life. And I've been on dozens and dozens of pack trips and fly fishing trips and hunting camp, and I've led strings of 7-8 mules at a time by myself into the backcountry, miles and miles in. So I have a lot of experience, but I am not the expert packer. I always am the assistant to my boss, and so I am sharing the knowledge that I have and that I've learned over the years and doing things and being on pack trips, as well as being a horseback rider and talking about saddle fit that applies to that aspect. I'll go more on that as well. But I'm always looking to learn more. There are always packers that have far more knowledge than me. I'm always phone a friend to old timers who just have that incredible experience. And so I don't want to come across that it's my way or the highway, because it is not. I am always still looking for guidance from more experienced packers. But I want to share some really basic intro things for you guys, because as our burro community is growing, more and more people are starting to realize how amazing these animals are, and that they're having fun and they're coming to these pack burro races and they want to get pack saddles and they want to do this. But we're starting to see more and more tack fitting errors. And if you're not a horseback rider and you haven't been riding, you don't understand that the importance of saddle fit is huge. If you sore an animal, that's a big deal. They don't want to work for you anymore. They become sour, they become resistant, they lay down, they balk, they fight you. We want to treat these animals correctly. So I want to do some basic things just on proper saddle fit and getting you guys tacked out correctly. I've got two pack saddles here. This is a Sawbuck and that one is a Decker. Both are Eric Lynn's Mountain Ridge gear. Eric's awesome. He's got really great tack. So before I get her cinched up, I want to talk about this a little bit. This is the tree of your pack saddle. This wooden piece here is the tree. And one of the biggest mistakes that people make is they are saddling their donkeys way too far forward. Sometimes we see it way too far back, but most commonly we see it way too far forward. And before you can saddle an animal, I'm going to slide this back. You need to find the back of that scapula, the back of that shoulder there, okay? And when you run your hand from the top here of across, and I find that bone, and I come all the way back, you can feel where the end of that scapula is. When you place your tree, the very front of this saddle, you should have, now different packers say different things, but on average, it's 3 to 4 fingers. Now, I'm not a big woman. A lot of these packers are men. So if they're doing 3 to 4 fingers and I do 3 of my little women hands, I might need a 4th finger in there. Your pack saddle tree that's front of this wood needs to be 3 to 4 fingers minimum behind that shoulder blade. Now, here's where you can get it too far back. Let's say you're running a pack saddle that is too long for your animal's back. Maple over here, she's wearing a Mammoth side. That's a 21-inch tree. This is a standard burro size. That's an 18-inch tree. If I try to run a 20-inch tree on this little donkey here, and I go ahead and place it 3 to 4 fingers back, now the back of my tree is going to be on that last rib. So one, you need to make sure you have the correct tree length for the size animal. You can't just buy any pack saddle online and it's built for a 16-hand mule and you're putting it on a little teeny tiny burro, okay? So placing your tree, find that shoulder blade. You need to be 3 to 4 fingers behind that shoulder blade. That's where the start of the tree is, okay? So when I get that in there and I get my pack set up there, I always double check that I've got a good distance. Then I kind of look at the back, make sure I'm not too far back on the ribs, okay? That I'm not going to be putting pressure on that last rib. So that is first and foremost. You need to be running a front cinch and a rear cinch. Now, when I go to snug up my cinches, you can use, some people like to use the billet keeper, the little metal pin that's in there, or tie a Texas T-knot. You can do whatever you want to do. I don't really care. I'm not going to have that debate. It's a big debate in the riding world. I will tell you from experience, both riding and packing, I have had that pin pop out. So I personally use the Texas T-knot. When I go to cinch them up the first time, I don't cinch them up like so tight that they can't breathe. I get it nice and snug where I know it's gonna hold my saddle into place. Once I have it cinched up, then I go ahead at both my front and back cinch. I'll actually use that little metal pin in this moment right here because I don't have them snugged all the way, but I have it to hold that place. I finish tacking up. Then before I run my loads, I usually cinch it up 1, 2, 3 more times depending on the animal. Someone like Maple here, she is the queen of blowing out. So what I mean by that, some of you saddle donkey riders will know, when you cinch her up, she exhales and expands her abdomen so that you can't cinch her up tight. So then by the time you go to climb aboard or you go to load her with your loads, she relaxes that abdomen and now that cinch is too loose. So she's someone I have to cinch up multiple times. Then, yeah, so that's important. So you get that going and we get onto your britchin. I'm gonna get this done and I wanna talk about the importance of your britchin and your breast collar, okay? Let me get this finished. With your britchin back here, you want, again, we want these animals comfortable. We are asking them to carry loads. We're asking them to be out on trail. Excuse me. We're asking them to run on, out on pack burro races. Your britchin, when they're standing relaxed, she's got one leg forward, so that's going to be a little bit of a misconception. You want this britchin that I can slide my hands in and pull away. And when I pull away from that britchin, okay, my hands slide in, and when I pull away from her body, you should have just like an inch or so of space between the back of her rump and that britchin. If you've got a ton of room back there, that defeats its purpose. The purpose of a britchin here is to keep your saddle, especially when it's loaded, from sliding forward and riding up on that shoulder. The reason that we do that 3 to 4 finger space behind the back of the scapula is that when donkeys are walking, and mules get this from the donkey, not only do their shoulders go forwards and backwards, but their shoulder actually rises up and down as well, more than a horse's. And so if this tree, especially weighted down, is bumping that shoulder every time they move, it's pinching, pinching, pinching. That doesn't feel good. So your britchin needs to be snug enough that, again, you can slide your hands in, pull away just a little bit, not so snug that they're uncomfortable. They also have to be able to move their legs freely. So there's that fine line on there of getting your britchin fit. This pad up here, some call it a spider pad. This one is not a spider. A spider is more of a ring and sends out up top. But this pad up here, okay, this is the croup of your animal, the point of bone. Maple's easier to see, this highest point of bone, okay? That pad needs to be anywhere where it fits good, that everything else rides between the highest point of the croup and the top of her tail, the base of the tail there. So anywhere in this section is where this pad needs to be. If you've got it way up here, things aren't gonna fit right. Find your highest point, the point of croup, then we adjust it, okay? Lengthen it or shorten it as long as the rest of this is fitting correctly. Your britchin should have just a slight upward angle here. It's not supposed to be totally straight. We don't want it way up like this. You want just a little bit of that upward angle here, and you want to make sure your britchin is into one of your solid rings, okay? One of your, we call these D rings, even though they're circle rings on this. And so that is a correct position and placement of that britchin. Again, don't be fooled. This hind leg is forward, so that's going to give more space on this. This leg is back, so I'm kind of just measuring in there. Now, if we get into like really steep country, and I know we're going to be doing a long downhill descent, I will oftentimes snug up that britchin an extra step there. Now, the breast collar, Buffalo, get out. The breast collar is the next thing that I want to talk about. This breast collar is doing the opposite of the Britchin. It is designed to keep your saddle from sliding too far back and having your loads now putting weight on the kidneys, okay? Your breast collar, especially on these little burros, there is a fine line of finding the sweet spot, okay? That it's serving its purpose as well as being comfortable. Now, on these burros, if you can kind of look here, here is that shoulder, that point of shoulder at the front. You need to find that curve in here, okay? And make sure that the bottom of your breast collar is just above that. It's not interfering with the shoulder. If they're trying to walk and that breast collar is covering that bone or touching it, every step forward, you've bumped the bone, you've bumped the bone. You're hindering their walking. So that's really important that you don't do that. Now, the other piece is that you don't want it up too high that now you're choking them. So when you have a small animal, that window is a tight little window. And right now, the way, hang on, let me relax her head. This is borderline snug, but let me see if I can put her head up. But you want to be able to get your hand in here, and you don't want a lot of room. Enough room that you can tell they can breathe and that they're comfortable, but that it's keeping your saddle in place. So that's really, hi, sweetheart. That's really, really important, okay, that you are doing that you find that sweet spot. Too many people, I see their breast collar down here interfering with that bone, or I've seen it too high. Now you're putting pressure here, okay? So we don't want to choke them out as well. On Maple, she's got a much bigger, let me see if I can move her. She's got a much bigger grace period, I'll call it, okay? That you can see that prominent shoulder blade. I don't know if you guys can see it in the camera. You can see that prominent shoulder blade. Come here, sister. Hopi, can you move your butt? Thank you. Can we see that? Okay, so on her, if I turn her a little bit sideways, you can see that prominent shoulder here, this bone. You need to come up and make sure you are not interfering with it on either side. And again, that you're not too high, that you're choking her out. I want it snug enough that I can move it. My hand is pretty much touching her, but that she's comfortable, okay? The next thing that I want to talk about real quick is most of you guys that are doing these activities and stuff, you guys are just doing this for pack burro races. You're not carrying super heavy loads. If you are truly packing your animals, okay, I went on a 40-mile pack trip just in January with Maple. I had her loaded like at 130 pounds, okay? She was loaded heavy. Something that is extremely important now, if you're going to be packing weight, is that the tree fits your animal. It is not a one size fits all. Yes, I bought both of these from Mountain Ridge Gear, but her back is not the same as every other back. True packers will take their tree and fit it to their animal. Eric makes these wood trees, so when you place that tree, I took this tree without a pad and I set it up on her back. Then I take my hands and I go all the way down underneath that tree. And this is just like a riding saddle, you guys. A riding saddle has a tree very similar to this. You just can't see it because it's underneath the saddle. So fitting a pack saddle tree is way easier than fitting a riding saddle tree. Now, when we got this, I knew that the angle of this tree and the shape of her back and the angle of the tree was too tight up here in the withers. If I've got a 130-pound load on her and that is pinching her because it's already too tight without a load, I'm going to sore my animal. We can't have a sored animal, okay? So the wood tree makes it very easy that you can take that, you can lay that tree up there. You can feel where you have tight spots or maybe where you have gaps. And then we took a rasp and we rasped that tree. And I had to reach out. I reached out to Eric Lynn. I reached out to Paul Decker, who's an old timer packer here in Arizona. And I was like, hey, I need some pointers. I've actually never had to rasp a tree myself. My boss at the ranch is the one that fit all the trees on his own. Have I watched him do it? Yes. I didn't want to ruin my pack saddle for her. So I phone a friend, ask for help, you guys. Ask for help, okay? So we had to take this tree and we had to rasp the areas that were too tight to make it a better fit. I also chose this is actually a riding pad. This pad also has extra padding along the bars. Maple has a very concaved back. She almost has a back more like a horse versus the flatter, straighter donkey back. So this pad, I needed it to fill in a little bit of gaps in the center of the tree. Otherwise, if you think about the tree sitting on her body like this, if there's gaps here along the spine, it's only putting pressure on the shoulder and at the back. And so that pad helps to fill in the center so we don't have what's called bridging. If you think of a bridge, it's only hitting at the front and at the back, and you've got this gap in the center there. So we had to fill in the bridging. We had to take a rasp and file and fit this saddle so that it's a better fit so there's no pressure points. You guys that are just doing races and stuff and you're not carrying loads, that's not as important to be fitting. Like, should you? Yes. But I don't want you ruining a bunch of tack out there if you're never going to be carrying heavy loads. Hope's saddle fits good enough that I'm not going to rasp it and change it because, if she had major pressure points and I was going to be putting heavier loads on her. Now, I'm not saying because Hope can't carry a heavy load that I wouldn't fit it. She's carrying a load that would be a proportionate to her size. So, but this saddle fits good enough that I haven't needed to. The last thing that I really want to talk about that I'm starting to see is people are starting to try to form mini pack strings, and they're trying to bring multiple donkeys out with them at a time, which is awesome, but I'm seeing people doing it wrong, and so I want to talk about that. Right now, the Buffalo is just a baby. He's standing on the other side of Maple. He's going to be 2 years old. He's still not old enough to carry weight, okay? At 3 years old, he can carry a saddle, but I wouldn't pack him with gear yet, okay? So when you attach an animal to this front animal, so if I'm riding Maple and I have Hope as my number 1 in my pack string and Buffalo as my number 2, I would be attaching Buffalo onto Hope. You need to use a piggin string, and you need to do it correctly. I don't know if you can see this white rope that I have here, okay? This white rope is into my center of my 2 rings. I have it back braided on. You can watch a YouTube video on how to back braid. I am horrible at back braiding. I got it done good enough to get the job done, okay? I have it back braided on this side as well as on the exact same position on the other side. Then I put a knot in it. This has my little anchor point here, and I'm using baling twine as my breakaway. Now, what I'm seeing people do is they're tying off the animal to the tree itself. That will cause pain and discomfort for this animal. The reason why you create your piggin string, okay, is that, and I run it then back through here, through underneath the tree, and it comes out here in the back. The reason that you run your piggin string to these 2 rings is that these rings are what is attached to the cinch. If you tie your animal onto the pack saddle, when this back animal is pulling back, and they're always pulling back because they're trying to eat, they've got their head down, they're dilly-dallying, where this front animal, you've got in your hand, you've got control, you're leading them. You don't have control of this back animal. So every time that animal is pulling away and doing this and trying to snag a bite, and you have them tied onto here, you're creating rock on this pack saddle. This pack saddle is constantly getting pulled this way, that way, this way, okay? You are creating discomfort. Buffalo, get out, go. If she's got a heavy load on, Hope could carry with her pack saddle and everything, I wouldn't put more than 70 pounds on her. I'd put probably 60, including then her pack saddle and stuff. If she's at a load, at a max load, and now you've got an animal back here and they're pulling and eating and dinking around back there, that tree is constantly rocking. Imagine if you had something on your back, hey, if you're backpacking and you have a backpack that's just doing this the whole time, you are going to have sore spots on your back. So never, never, never tie to this. I have on my Hope the Wild Burro Place Instagram stories, I think I saved the highlight stories up there about how to tie a piggin string and how to put this on there. If you go to my Instagram, I think you can find them there. And then last but not least, and so that's why, sorry, before I keep going, that's why we tie to these center rings that your cinch are to, so that when that animal is pulling back and doing stuff, if you pull on this rope, it's not rocking my tree, it's pulling up on the belly. And the cinch is soft. It's not rocking a load along their spine. And then last but not least, I use baling twine. I have been into some big wrecks in the backcountry in Montana. Animals have done stupid things. We've had grizzly bears on trails. We've had moose out on trail. We've had animals that spook your animals and someone slips. The idea of baling twine, it's called a breakaway. In an emergency, you need these animals to not be attached to each other. You need a breakaway. Buffalo is little enough that I don't know, it would have to be a horrific wreck for him to actually be able to break the baling twine. I've actually debated on using like a hemp rope or something of a little bit easier break strength for these little burros. But when we're using big animals, big full-size donkeys and pack mules, baling twine has been great. I have had a few mules though who have learned if they snap their head hard enough, they can snap the baling twine. So that's another battle sometimes you have to fight. But so I wanted to share that with you. Last but not least, I think it's on a story video, but I'll use buffalo real quick. When I am attaching buffalo to Hope, Buffalo, you're such a little baby. Can you tell? He's just tangled up at everybody. When I am attaching, I also use a quick knot, okay? I fold this in half, and when you get everything over, hey, stop. You want them tied, oh gosh, now I'm having a brain fart on my knot. When you get him tied, stop. Thank you. Do not be rude. I want to show you real quick. I'll send you the videos I have. I want him just long enough, okay, that he has a nice distance, but that he cannot get his head all the way to the ground where he can step over his rope. Because what happens when we're out trail and he's trying to eat and he steps over that rope, now we've got a wreck. I talk about tying on my trailer safety video. It is the same thing when we are running a string of animals. Every animal needs to be tied that they're at a comfortable, relaxed length, but not too long that that rope gets so low that they step over it. When you're in the backcountry and you're on tight trails, one, you don't always have a safe place to stop and dismount and tie up the front animal to go ahead and fix someone way down in your string. So having them at a safe position, please back up, thank you, is really, really important that you have that safe length on there, okay? So I hope that this saddle fit video is helpful for you guys. If you have questions, reach out. I'm always happy to help. Back up. Thank you. I'm getting ready to hit the trail with these guys anyway, so I just wanted to show you that video. I hope it answered questions, and always reach out if you have any other questions. Thanks, guys.